Hello YouTube, this is Darkon633. We're taking a look at another Star Wars The Force Awakens figures review. This time we're going to take a look at the third wave of the Space Assortment of the build of weapons in the Force Awakens toy line. Now, once again, Hasbro has introduced another non-movie character in the line, and this time we're going to take a look at the Fifth Brother Inquisitor. So that's actually a really good looking figure, actually, minus the fact that it is still in the 5-point articulation design. Anyways, we're going to take a look at the boxes. First, we're going to look at Admiral Ackbar, which looks really nice. It's sad to see that his actor has passed away not too long ago, but at least he did a pretty good job in The Force Awakens for as little of a role that he had, and the figure actually turned out pretty decent. And it actually features something that was actually quite impressive to see that Hasbro designed once we get to the figure. Next, we're going to take a look at the Tasu Leech, who is the leader of Kanji Club. Fortunately, these characters really didn't get much of a appearance in the film, so there isn't a whole lot I can personally say about Kanji Club or the Guavian Death Gang. And, as in previous videos, since he is not a part of The Force Awakens, it is just a standard Star Wars, so still works really nicely, and it's nice to have more figures in The Force Awakens toy line in general. Anyways, we're going to take a look at Admiral Ackbar first. Admiral Ackbar is a pretty decent look of the character. We're just going to take the weapon off to the side since it likes to fall out quite a bit. And articulation-wise, he does feature the standard swivel joints. However, unlike other figures, and this is actually one of the biggest pluses of Admiral Ackbar compared to all the previous versions of Admiral Ackbar, is that he has an articulated mouth. So now he can do the full, "it's a trap," and various other things that he could say in the movies and so on. So that's really cool that Hasbro has done a nice job designing an articulated mouth for the figure. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any other points in the head, so that was sacrificed, but at least this is at least an appropriate point of articulation. Now we're going to take a look at the gun, which is once again in the usual Force Awakens kind of very alien kind of style blasters that we've seen. It can fit well in his hand, but it doesn't really fit in very well overall. Like, it fits in, but it does like to fall out, so that's why I pull it off to the side. He features this build of weapon, which some kind of jetpack. Just slide it over his head, and that's pretty much it. It's not like Ackbar will really need this, since in the films he doesn't fight or anything. So this is kind of a really useless weapon, at least for this character. And we're going to take Admiral Ackbar out to the side here. Next, we're going to take a look at Tasu Leech. Now, I actually have a stand that was previously released in older Star Wars figures here, since unfortunately Tasu Leech cannot stand very well on its own without any type of support. So I have a stand here for the review. Unfortunately, it does not include a stand or anything to really kind of keep him from falling, so you kind of need to get a stand in order to get him to stand up. Articulation-wise, he does feature the standard articulation points. So we're going to take him off the stand for a minute. His head isn't a ball joint, but his hair does get in the way quite a bit in many points of movement. He has swivels in the shoulders and also in the legs at standard. And he has this really strange looking blaster, but unfortunately it is one of the most gummiest, at least, blasters I've seen in The Force Awakens so far. I understand that's for safety reasons, but this is going a little bit too far in just how gummy the actual weapon is. Not to mention, it just looks really strange. Unfortunately, which I'm not really too sure what his size was in the film, even watching a couple times, just because how little he did in the film, but he is one of the shortest figures I've seen in the entire Force Awakens toy line so far, so yeah, it is a bit strange. His build of weapon is this alien tech blaster, which has a slight articulation point, I guess. It's not really articulated, but has a way where you can detach it. And I guess you can kind of turn it into two weapons, even though I really don't know what this could be. So we're just going to slide this back into place. And then he can carry it, although I don't know, it's just some of these weapons still really do not look like they really thought very well into it. As you can see, it just doesn't really work to me personally. We're just going to attach it back to the stand so he won't fall. And now we're going to take a look at the only Rebels character in this wave, and that is the Fifth Brother Inquisitor. Now, one thing about the Inquisitors, even though I really like what the team for Rebels has done, is that he doesn't really have a name. None of the Inquisitors really were named with actual names, and they were just named after the rank of Inquisitor they were, so that was a bit weird, in my opinion. He does have a really good likeness to the character from the show, though, and that works pretty well. His head is on a ball joint, and his arms are swivels. However, keep in mind that his lightsaber does kind of get in the way when you move the joint. But other than that, it stays in pretty nicely, except it is a bit hard to actually put in his hand, just to the way that his fingers are designed. I don't know, I had a little trouble trying to actually put this in his hand for some reason earlier. He does have swivels in his legs as normal, and that's pretty much it for that figure. He does feature this really interesting looking claw beam kind of weapon. I don't really know what this is. It looks like it could probably shoot a beam out from there and so on. It kind of looks like it could represent the Riot Trooper weapon fully extended, but obviously it's not quite exactly how it looks like. He can carry it, just using the handle at the bottom, and does fit in pretty decent, so there we go. It's not the worst weapon I've seen, but it is still really weird. And similar to the other Build-A weapons, once again, you can combine the three weapons together. This is just more like the pegging system like we've seen in some of the other Build-A weapons, though. So we're just going to attach here via the little holes that are on the side of the piece here. And then there you got a kind of weaponized backpack. I guess we could quickly put it in an Ackbar just to see how it looks like, and you can pretty much get the idea. It's kind of like a weaponized backpack. It's kind of something similar I've seen maybe in a Power of the Force, some of those old Kenner-style action features, but at least it doesn't really hinder any of these figures, since luckily none of these have any peg holes in the back to accommodate the weapons, so at least that is a plus for this wave. Overall, I still think the figures in the wave are pretty decent. If you're a fan of Rebels, then I highly recommend picking up the Fifth Brother Inquisitor, and definitely want to pick up Admiral Ackbar, since it's one of the best Admiral Ackbar figures only because he can open his mouth, which none of the previous Ackbars were able to do. Obviously, he does have the 5 points articulation as normal, but it is still cool that we finally got a fully articulated mouth Ackbar. The only figure that is kind of hard to recommend in this wave is Tasu Leech, because he can't really stand very well, and the fact that he is a lot shorter than the other figures in the wave. So he is mostly, I guess, for completionists reasons, but other than that, he's kind of a pointless figure to get, especially since they didn't make any of the other members of the gang, so it is a bit strange. It is also strange that we didn't even get the leader of the Guavan Enforcers, so maybe in another wave or so we'll be able to see them, but I highly don't think so at this point. Anyways, please subscribe and check out Hirotaku. Also, please check out the other channels down below, and please check my Twitter under Darkon633. Forgot to mention I got these figures from Hasbro Toy Shop, which they have appeared about a couple days ago, so it was nice to finally actually see them, and hopefully soon I'll be able to get the Kylo Ren Unmasked and the Stormtrooper. I forgot exactly what version of the trooper it is. Oh, there's a lot of troopers in this movie, so I get them all confused, but it's still really nice that we got a really nice set of figures throughout Force Awakens, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see what is released in Rogue One. Anyways, I'll be seeing you too. Bye.